switching gears, as Chris mentioned, we do have the semifinals of our in-season tournament for the NBA coming up tomorrow, which means that we had our quarterfinals yesterday and Monday, the start of the official tournament, really.
Mm-hmm.
4 great games, man. We saw the Lakers best the Suns for a third time this year. We saw Giannis and them boys, beat up on the New York Knicks with a surprising great game from Julius Randle. We saw the Celtics go down, as we mentioned at the top of the show, against the high-flying Pacers. And we saw the Pelicans come through against the Kings, man. 4 great games. What did you guys think? What was your biggest takeaway?
I think what you just said is the biggest takeaway, that these wasn't like games that was like uninterested. You know what I'm saying? They were good games. Everybody. I feel like anybody who watched those games, it piqued their interest. Like especially the last night game, the Lakers game. That was a nip and tuck at the end. But I think that's the biggest thing, and that's what the NBA was trying to do: create some more, pizzazz or whatever you want to call it, buzz around the league, because at this time, like we said, most games you don't really start paying attention till you get to the Christmas game. Then that's when you start saying, okay, let's see what these teams really about. These early games, they don't really get that feel. You say, you lose, okay, whatever. As long as you ain't on no extreme losing streak, them games can go here and there. But I think the tournament was something good that the NBA came up with, and even though we lost, I enjoyed the game.
It's a great game, and Halliburton.
Yeah.
He different.
He plays, man. 26, 13 assists, 10 rebounds. I have a question about him and another guys that we'll talk about here in just a second and their placement in the league. But Halliburton has been breaking out, obviously, throughout the season. The Pacers have been one of the better teams throughout this season so far. They were one of the better teams at the beginning of the season last year as well. Obviously, Halliburton played well for the USA team. At this point in his career, now that you've kind of seen how the season is going and can kind of project out to what it would look like, where would you guys place him in ranks in terms of point guards in the league? I don't know if I want to just stick with the East, but just in terms of point guards in the league right now.
That's a good question. So I mean, he's definitely developing his game in a way where he's able to control more of the game. You can tell it is slowing down to him. But he's still playing at a very fast pace. The shot is ugly, but it's going in and it's become reliable. You know what I mean? That shot has become reliable, and that adds another big factor to his game, compared to some other guards. So I think, obviously you look at the big ones like Steph, you look at Dame,
Kyrie, Jamal Murray.
Kyrie, yeah. Even Trey's still up there in numbers.
The young guys with him, the Garland, Melo.
So I mean, and
Therese Maxey.
It's honestly, Therese Maxey. It's honestly tough to rank him. I think he's definitely playing at a top 10 level right now as far as point guards in the league. As far as how high that is, maybe knocking on top 5. But
you didn't even say our boy in with the Knicks
in purgatory,
Jalen Brunson.
Jalen Brunson, for sure, yeah.
And then if you want to put Luka at point guard,
I was talking about Ja.
Oh, Ja too. Yeah, I mean he's
in purgatory.
He definitely in purgatory. Yeah. No, I think he's definitely knocking on top 5. We just have to see more from him, and I think being on this stage has helped his popularity immensely because he's been doing this. Like he's had games like this, ever since he's been there.
26, 11 on 52% from the field and 44 from the 3.
Yeah. So this kind of tournament gives everybody opportunity to kind of, because the Pacers don't have nasty televised games. Like people really not watching the Pacers, honestly. I can't even tell you before this game the other day, I maybe watched one Pacer game start to finish this season. You know what I mean? Like just sat down and watched.
And if for everybody listening, the Pacers are one of the better watches on League Pass. Go ahead and check them out.
But yeah, I think he's definitely knocking on top 5. Just had to see more from him and see more in big moments. He talked about this actually when he was on Paul George's podcast. as far as having those moments, knowing that he has to get to that level, get in the playoffs. He got to get to the playoffs. He got to produce there to really have that, to really be ranked up there and have that impact. But he's on that track right now, and he has the keys to that team very clearly. Everybody's around him on that team. Everybody's like, yeah, he's our guy, and that's a lot of confidence for a young player.
One hell of a coach too.
Had to. Where would you rank him, Chris?
He's definitely top 10. I'd probably say about 7, 6, 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
That man a dog.
For me, he's got to get into the playoffs, but I'd probably have him in the top 5 as well. But definitely got to get into the playoffs, start making some noise there. Really, really, really see what your game's about. I would say that for a guy like LaMelo. Obviously I love Garland, but he's still got to show himself in the playoffs as well. Because we've seen these guys, Trae Young, we've seen him perform. We've seen obviously Kyrie, obviously Luka, obviously Dame.
We've seen De'Aaron, which has been the talking point. Because who did they keep the right point guard? That's been the topic this week.
And he immediately turned them around, got them to the 3 seed. Was one of the best playoff performers, obviously for the first round. We've even seen a Drew Holiday, Jalen Brunson make plays in the playoffs. So he's got to get in and start doing something and making plays. But looking at another guy that we've seen do nothing but make plays in the playoffs, LeBron James. LeBron James, man. 31,
ageless.
11 assists, 8 rebounds, 5 steals, going head-to-head against KD for a third time this season, something that we didn't see for, 5-6 years, and now we've already seen it. It's not even Christmas, and we've seen it 3 times. And 2 of the times were both in the in-season tournament games, and all games have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Bron coming through in the fourth again, had 15 points in the fourth quarter. I mentioned earlier, I wanted to talk about a guy, in their rankings in the league, man. Everybody's been having, at the beginning of the season, it was LeBron's not top 10. He's getting to the lower end of the top 10, blah, blah, blah. Are we underrating LeBron again?
It would appear that way, honestly. The stuff that he's doing, he'll be 39 at the end of this month.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff he's doing is honestly just ridiculous. The minutes he's playing, the impact he has on the game still. And it's coming in the fourth quarter after playing 30-something minutes. He still has enough juice, which he knows at this point how to rest on the court. They know the vets know how to do that. But he still has enough juice to make those plays at the end of the game. Is honestly ridiculous because the game against the Suns, he was getting to the rim. I know they don't have a shot blocker, which helps a lot, but he was getting to the rim at ease. Like he was really doing whatever he wanted to do out there,
and it was against anybody.
Yeah, so I mean, it's tough because he's still a freight train. He's still big. He's still smart. It's like you can't do nothing at this point. If you're hating on LeBron, like something's really wrong with you. You know what I mean? You can't do nothing but sit back and be like, wow. Like, this guy is just wild. Like this is like look at Chris.
But I mean, you cannot get. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I don't necessarily I don't think we're underrating LeBron because at the same breath we wouldn't have the Lakers where we have them if LeBron wasn't there. We wouldn't have them ranked as where we would when we first did our little rankings at the beginning. If it wasn't for LeBron, if it was somebody else other than him, Lakers would be irrelevant. We wouldn't even talk about them how we talk about it, even with just AD by itself. But I think it's more so maybe taking him for granted because he's just going crazy and it's like the day he leaves is just gonna be like, oh shit.
It's gonna be a big void, it's gonna be a big void and in my opinion, I was a Kobe fan, but when Kobe left, it was like, the year was cool, whatever, but it was just like, okay, Kobe's gone. Like, no disrespect to the late great Kobe Bryant, but
that's it's the way his career ended. That's how it was like that because
that might be it too. But LeBron is he's the draw still of the league. Even then, like when Kobe retired, I wouldn't necessarily say that Kobe, since LeBron's been in the league, he wasn't a bigger draw than LeBron, ever. So at this point, when it's gonna be it's gonna be something, man, because it's not only just we talked about it a little bit last week with NBA Twitter and stuff like that. It's not just LeBron on his on-court, I mean, people follow everything that he does. They follow his kids, they follow his wife, they follow everything. So, like, we don't really, Anthony Edwards, we've talked about being kind of the next face of the NBA, and he's got the personality, the charisma. But the rest of the guys, right now, you could say Giannis, he's a little too corny. I feel like he tries too hard. Talking about he didn't know he was going to get $100,000 or whatever. He didn't know they were playing. Bro, like, just stop, bro. Like, stop, bro. Like, you too old for this now, bro. Like, we get it.
It was cool when you were younger. You just not getting to America and not like, bro. Like, come on.
Stop, bro. But,
nah, I get what you're saying.
But it's gonna be a big void left with LeBron and not only with these young players, and the conversation has been about the load management and stuff like that, but just the respect for the game. Every time typically we get a LeBron on nationally televised game, we're getting a game.
Yeah,
we're not getting one of the things that Charles Barkley said last night was that he used to think AD would be one of the best players in the league, would be the best player in the league, but he doesn't think that anymore. A lot of that, even though AD always averages like 26 and 10, we get a lot of 8 and 10 games from AD, or 8 and 8. These and some of these duds. I mean, I would say Giannis, he typically puts on a show as well, but for 21 years, man, LeBron is just continuing.
It's wild,
it's every game. The in-season tournament, I would say, has been powered a lot by LeBron, by the KD, them playing each other, and then how great LeBron has played with the Lakers being undefeated in the in-season tournament thus far. So
you could tell that them as a team, and especially LeBron, is really taking this in-season tournament seriously. Like you can tell, like we've seen LeBron in big games, how he moves, how he functions, and he's taking this. And he even said it. If there's something to play for, I'm gonna play for it. He even said it after the game last night. I'm excited to see what he does in these next couple of games. If he does end up winning the semifinals against a good Pelicans team, now it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I can't wait to see it. Pelicans play very, very well. And they're
across the board. Brandon
Yeah.
Ingram had 30 points. Herb Jones, 23. Jonas Valanciunas had 18.
Yeah.
CJ coming back into the fold was 17.
Zion didn't do much that game, but that shows you how good that Pelicans team is. It's not built just around Zion, which him being out the last few years have kind of afforded them, that luxury of like, okay, seeing what we got around him. And when he comes back, he can be that, that kind of that missing piece, that X factor, that wild card.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you see. He can take over games, but if he doesn't have it, or if he's struggling, Brandon Ingram has been that guy. CJ's back, like you said. So it's a good team, well coached by Willie. So I'm excited to see this game.
And they handled the Kings pretty thoroughly throughout the whole game. Like
they had control of that game.
They came to play as well. And one of the things that Chris mentioned is that we've kind of mentioned as a whole throughout the entire time talking about the in-season tournament is building more credibility than earlier in the season. But you even saw like KD last night said like, damn, like, yeah, these in-season tournaments is it. Like,
he said I wasn't a fan before. I'm a fan now. Yeah.
Fan now, and you're getting buy-in from the players as well. Like you mentioned, LeBron is clearly he's taking it serious. Giannis, he made this little corny ass joke, but clearly he's taking it serious. Dame, clearly he was taking it serious. Clearly the guys have been taking it serious in terms of like when they were shooting, and getting those extra points and trying to win by a certain amount of points, and stuff like that. I know, especially those last few games when it was coming down to who was going to get in. You heard the guys talk about, we had a plan in action. We had an idea of how many points we needed, so we were really striving to get it and stuff like that. So.
I think they did a great sorry to cut you off. They did a great job with the timing of this though. The timing of what they had. Of course, they had the Lakers play on a Tuesday. They wouldn't have played the Lakers on Monday night, with NFL football on. Mm-hmm. So smart on that part. You got the games tomorrow. Then you got the games on, you got the championship on a Saturday. This is a Saturday where nothing's going on.
No college football except for Army, Navy.
That's what I'm saying. Nothing's going on. The timing of this has been just fantastic. You can tell they really thought this out, and this is definitely going to stick. This is definitely going to stay. Like year to year, this is going to become a thing, and it's just, I love it. It's putting a little bit of, notoriety on what's going on, and it also gives a team, time to find like, okay, if you get into this tournament, what do we need? What do we need? A little bit. So
exactly. And I think one last thing that I want to say about LeBron is the thing that Chris mentioned is that are we taking him for granted? You even start to see some of the older guys that used to hate, like the Charles Barkley definitely used to hate on Bron. This nigga still doing this shit, bro.
Yeah,
bro, like we was done, and we was going head to head. This was our rival a couple years ago, and this nigga still eating. Like,
yeah,
you see it. It is crazy, but I mean, and not only LeBron, because LeBron's still in the league, we don't even talk about how KD is 35, Steph is 35. Obviously Russ, James Harden, they're older in age. Kawhi, PG, shit, you don't even think about it. PG's getting up there. He's old, man. Like,
yeah.
And so, shout out to our older NBA players still doing their thing, man.
It's tough to produce this late in the career. Like when you talk about year 14, 15, 16, year 21,
travel.
like this is crazy. The amount of production that we're seeing from these guys, and it's not a long list of them. You know what I mean? So,
but ending off, man.
Oh, you muted, Chris.
You muted, Chris.
What are you saying?
I was saying it's crazy when you think about it, because we see the people he played against, like you just said, peers. You got Wade, you got Bob. You see all these other folks. You can see them around, in their podcast or in the media or whatever. Kendrick Perkins. You see all of them, and you can tell if they got back on the court, they'll get did up. But it's like, damn, LeBron, you just ain't gonna stop, huh?
Still arguably the best player in the league. If you really, the only thing that stopping you from saying that for real is age more than anything. Age and then the thought that he might get hurt again.
Yeah.
Right.
So, that and the fact that Jokic is going nuts.
Jokic is different. Jokic is different, man. The game's so easy to him. It's ridiculous, man.
But I would say, honestly, I don't know, and we're getting too little long-winded on LeBron James, or I am, being a fan. But I don't know if Jokic grew up being a LeBron fan, but I mean, it's a lot of LeBron's game to his game. So that I'd be interested to hear, some of the guys that he watched and he was a fan of growing up.
Yeah.
But with that being said, the last person that we haven't given too much love today, Giannis, man, 35, 10, and 8. He's been having a fantastic year. Obviously they're still trying to figure it out in Milwaukee. But they smoked the Knicks. I mean, Julius Randle tried to do everything he could. Had 40 points, 20 plus in the first half. He started off 8 for 8, 9 for 9. Dame ended up chipping in 28 points and 7 assists as well. It's good. It was good for them, kind of like you mentioned, Cass. Get to see what it's looking like a little bit earlier than the playoffs. I think that this was a good win for them, especially to see how dominant they were. But as some have mentioned, Tyrese Halliburton might go crazy on that defense.
That defense is definitely suspect. Suspect. But Damian Lillard has been coming on strong lately, man. Like last 10 games, I think he's been averaging 30-something points. Like he's been snapping. So that duo, they're getting their numbers off, but that defense they got to figure this out. It's not sustainable what they've been giving up. You know what I mean? They're still a good team, but they got to figure that was their identity. That's always been their identity since Giannis has become, that guy. You know what I mean?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't know how feasible it is, but looking at a Caruso, I think would be fantastic for them. Even if they do have to give up a Chris Middleton, in my opinion, I don't think that would be detrimental to them. I think that would be beneficial. But obviously not straight up Chris Middleton for Caruso, but that would be something if you could put together a package and get a player like him and then maybe another piece. Yeah, I'd definitely be for it.
I think that's a good point. I think you should definitely try to gauge his value, his trade value now, Chris Middleton, because I mean with all the injuries stacking up on him, he's not
shaky knees.
It's a little rough for him right now. So I do agree that they could use that perimeter defender like that, especially with Dame. They can definitely use a perimeter defender. So I agree with that. But yeah, it's been like the Bucks have been the Bucks. They've been good though. So
yeah, man. But like I said, we got the semifinals coming up on Thursday. We've got the Lakers versus the Pelicans, and the Bucks versus the Pacers. You know, I think we all picked the Celtics to win. And I know you guys picked the Kings to win, whereas I picked the Pelicans. So now that we've seen kind of how it played out, and with the 1-game elimination, who you guys got moving forward this weekend?
Ooh, go ahead, Chris.
Like y'all said earlier, if the Bucks don't get right on defense, Tyrese is gonna light their ass up. Because if I'm not mistaken, in the end, they are definitely top 5 offense in the league. If I'm not mistaken, they're probably like 2 or 1. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the Bucks. That's the only thing about them is their defense has
been historically great on offense as well.
Right, and their defense. But the Bucks defense has tailed off a little bit of what they're known for, so I can't count Giannis out, man. I'm just gonna go ahead and give it to the Bucks. I think it's gonna be Bucks versus I think it'll be Bucks versus Pelicans.
Oh,
I think Zion's gonna go off tomorrow, for real. I think we're gonna finally get to see that Zion versus not versus LeBron, but you know what I'm saying. Like Zion been hurt, so that's one of the marquee matchups that been talked about.
The original,
right. So I think
the
it's
original
gonna be
changing of the guard they thought.
That is true.
That's a good pick. I respect that. I'm gonna go Bucks to win this one. I think Giannis has a big game again, as long as he's that ankle's not too bad after resting on it. It might take him a minute to get into it, but I go Bucks, Lakers. I think Lakers beat Pelicans. Like I said, I thought they would have lost to the Kings. But since the Pelicans did it on winning, I'm gonna go Lakers. It's gonna be tough to stop Beato, and they got the guys to do it with Vando and Cam to try to slow him down. They ain't stopping them, but Beato's a problem. But I got Lakers winning that, and I think the Bucks win it. I think the Bucks win it overall. I don't know. I want to pick the Lakers to win the whole thing. It's gonna be a lot of Lakers fans at this game in Vegas. They're gonna travel. I mean, it's not that far. It's a couple of hours pretty much. It's gonna be a lot of Lakers fans in there, so they have that home advantage. Going forward. So that'll be interesting to see too. But Bucks, Lakers, and I got Bucks.
I'm rocking with Lakers, Bucks as well. I don't know. It's tough to pick against Giannis at this point, especially with how he's been playing in terms of the championship. So I'm gonna not make a pick.
That's fair.
I'm gonna just enjoy.
Just sit back and enjoy. I think Dame, if they make it to that championship on Saturday, I think Dame shows up in that.
Yeah,
I think Dame shows up huge.
And that's another thing. It's just tough to pick against Bron as well this early in the season, especially while they're healthy. So I'm gonna make the pick. I'm gonna go with the Lakers. I'm not picking against Bron. Not while he, if like I said last year, if he was healthy last year, I think they win the championship. I think they win the championship rather easily. So I'm rocking with Bron.
Fair enough. We're gonna see. I can't wait to see it though. Saturday, we're locked in.
We're gonna see another great week of sports coming up, man. Shout out to y'all for keeping up with us and rocking with us every week, man.